Hello and welcome to this webinar, Your Love Life After Divorce, 3 Secrets to Finding True Love. Wow, it is so great to be with all of you, those of you who have signed up and shown up to be on this webinar. And there are some of you who I know, I see your names that you've signed up and you're here for the webinar. You know who you are, so hello, it's so good to be with you. Again, welcome to this webinar. To all of you who are here that you've signed up and you've shown up tonight, I really do welcome you. And I also want to acknowledge you for being here, for taking the time to register yourself and to organize whatever you needed to do to actually be here. We all know there are so many things that you could be doing at this time. Oh, there goes my earphone here. You know, that you chose to make this what you're doing at this time, given how many other things you could be doing, tells me that there is something very important about this topic. And there's obviously an aspect of this topic of your love life after divorce that's really important to you. And so that you made the commitment to have that be what's important and that dictate what you do this evening, I acknowledge that in you. You know, I don't need to know your history. I don't need to know your background. I don't need to know you personally, even though there are some of you out there who I do know personally, but I don't need to know what you're committed to. The fact that you're here with your bum in your seat, whether you're on your phone or on your computer, or whatever device you're here with, the fact that you're here tells me already that you're someone who is committed to taking your life into your own hands in some way and making some difference in this particular area. And so I want you to know that I hear you, I feel you, I'm with you. And I'm very, very humbled and honored to be able to present to you some of the things that I will present to you in this webinar. And I'm very personally committed to having whatever I share tonight make a valuable difference for you. So again, welcome and thank you for making yourself worth it to be here tonight. Now, I just wanted to be on video for a few seconds to just say hello and actually connect with you, but I am going to go into video webinar mode. So I'm going to turn off the video and just move into webinar mode. Okay, so now we want to have your time here be absolutely 100% valuable. Since you did make it here, you did take the time, let's make it valuable for you. So first, what I do is I recommend that you honor your choice to be here by being fully present. So what does that mean? Well, there are a couple of things that I recommend that you do so that you can be fully present here. One is I recommend that you turn your cell phone off or put it on silent so that it doesn't distract you. And as well, if you're here via computer, I suggest that you shut down other screens like your email and Facebook and whatever else might be an interference for you. Like, really give yourself full permission to be here where you said you wanted to be and don't have others' agendas pull you away. A second way to be here fully present is to be clear about the reason why you're here and to listen to this webinar from that particular place. Listening for the golden nuggets that will support you with what's important to you so that you get value. You know, there's a reason you signed up and showed up for this webinar. For example, there is something that you want to get from being here. Or there's a central issue that you currently face. So I'm asking you right now to think about what is the reason why you signed up to be at this webinar. What are you here for? And write that down. I'm going to give you a moment to actually write that down. And if you're here on the computer, I invite you to use the chat box to write down why you're here. And how you do that is you should be able to see a chat box on your screen. And just make sure that when you're typing, that you're typing to everyone. There's a little drop-down menu where, first of all, it says to and then colon, and then there's a little drop-down menu that says either all panelists or everyone. You want to make sure that that's on everyone. And it's private in the sense that nobody sees your name, nobody knows who you are, essentially. I don't even. I won't see your email when you type anything into the chat box. So I invite you to write it into the chat box because it gives other people a sense of what kinds of things people are facing and why they're here, and it gives you a chance to see what other people are facing as well. So go ahead and write that down for your own personal use, as well as in the chat box if you are willing to. I highly encourage you to. Okay, hopefully that was enough time for you to write down why you're here. Great, thank you. I would like to find a new life partner eventually. Excellent, excellent. So you're definitely in the right place. Great, and thank you so much for sharing that. And well, let me tell you, oh, we have some more here. So just in case other people can't see the chat box, I'm here because I'm committed to engage in a committed, awakened love relationship. Wow, that is amazing. I just got chills as I read that. A committed, awakened love relationship. Fabulous. So thank you so much for sharing. Keep on sharing. I won't necessarily stop and keep reading everyone's because I think other people can see the chat box, but please keep it coming. And if you haven't written it down yet for yourself personally, I really encourage you to do that. Now, let me just take a moment and tell you a bit about how this webinar will go. I'm going to share the 3 secrets that I've discovered that allow you to begin to have true love after divorce. And I'll ask you some questions so that you can also think about and discover your own insights while you're here on this webinar. And you don't have to share anything openly if you don't want to. However, there is this chat box, as you've seen, where I'll invite you to share your insights. And it's great because often your insights will be very valuable to others and theirs to you. So again, I acknowledge those of you who have taken the step to share openly already, and I really do invite others of you to go ahead and do that as well. And then I'm going to tell you also during this webinar about an amazing upcoming program that I'm offering, and I'm so excited about it, and I'm going to show you how to register into it if you'd like to do that. And stay until the very end of this webinar as I will have an amazing gift for you. And also, I won't have a formal Q&A per se, but instead, if you have any questions, please use the Q&A box that's on this system. You should see a little icon that says Q ampersand A, that's Q&A. And if you click on that, you'll be able to submit a question, which only comes to me. It's not something that's viewable to everybody. So at any time throughout the webinar, please feel free to submit a question. And I might not see it right when you type it in, but as soon as I do see it, I will answer it. Okay? That's it. So that's the outline of what to expect. All right. So now let's jump in here and get started on this webinar. So why am I here? Okay, so you thought about why you're here. Well, let me tell you a little bit about myself and essentially why I'm here. So as you know, my name is Tallie Rabin, and I'm a coach for people divorcing or divorced who are committed, and I'm committed to people and families living an extraordinary life. So when my first marriage was breaking down, it was a big wake-up call to me. See, I already had a university degree in peace and conflict studies, focused on the Middle East. And so now here I was facing a marital breakdown, and it was a time for me to not only study peace and conflict resolution for people across the world, I needed to be peace and conflict resolution right here in my own mind and body. Thankfully, although there were many challenging times that could have led to an ugly legal battle, our better selves won out and we worked things out peacefully. And then later I got engaged to one of my best friends, and I thought we could turn that friendship into a romantic life partnership. But when it became clear that we were not a match, I had already become pregnant, and we ended that relationship, which was, as you can see from this picture, it was a very difficult breakup, unlike the first one. But using a lot of tools and lots of community support, in time, we developed a new relationship as parents, and we even later became friends again, which I really did not think that we would be. So I had discovered so much about what it truly takes to be peaceful. And I don't mean just by giving in or being nice or avoiding conflict. I mean to really be the embodiment of a lot of principles and ideas, and not always necessarily be perfect about it, but to keep true to those principles even when things got really tough. And so based on these experiences, plus a master's degree that I did focused on the subject of peaceful divorce, I built a coaching practice as the Peaceful Divorce Coach, supporting individuals, couples, and families through the divorce process to make it peaceful and family focused. And now, while this sounds like somewhat of a happy ending, deep down, for me personally, I was left with a lot of questions about myself and about my ability to be in a relationship again, and one that lasts. I actually considered staying single for the rest of my life. The truth is, I was scared. I was scared to truly open up and give myself to another human being, to another relationship. And thankfully, instead of running away, I'm not very good at moving my slides at the same time as I'm speaking, as you can see, but please bear with me. Thankfully, I didn't run, which I wanted to, and just forget about the idea of being in a relationship altogether. But instead, I went to work on myself. And, you know, after a lot of transformational and spiritual work, I'd gone through a journey, and I had discovered that I needed to change. You know, as wonderful and talented a person I might be, there are things about me that don't work in relationship. You know, for example, among other things, I am an independent woman. I've lived mostly on my own since I was 16. I traveled, I lived in another part of the world. I had jobs to sustain a modest livelihood. I went to university. I started a not-for-profit global organization. Being independent is all well for a strong-willed, career-minded woman. But there was something that was missing, a kind of fulfillment that I just didn't have. No matter how good my life was with all of my achievements, I really wanted to share my life with another special someone, with a close, beloved soulmate. And you know, I often had this vision of me and him, whoever he would be, lying down together, and we would be facing each other like two children in love, looking into each other's eyes, opening up about any and all of our deepest feelings and desires and fears, while feeling the comfort and safety of being with each other. You know, really in each other's arms and having each other's backs. But that vision was just that. It was something I could see, but I didn't have a sense of how to actualize it. And one of my discoveries was that while I can take care of myself and I don't need anyone to take care of me, I want to be taken care of. And this notion was really hard to swallow as a must-be independent woman. But when I let go of the must-be aspect of being an independent woman and just allow myself to be an independent woman who's open to receive and be loved and cared for, I was no longer limited. And it was soon after that that my sweetheart came into my life. And there's so much more that I can say about that, which I'll share more about my personal story intermittently throughout this webinar. But one thing for sure, had I not made this transformational discovery, I wouldn't have been able to open up and be in my next relationship that would be with my lifelong beloved partner. So I am eternally grateful. And after a significant amount of time having an underlying sense of doubt or question about whether it's even possible to truly be in a fruitful, harmonious, meaningful, fulfilling relationship, I can now say, yes, it is absolutely possible. And this is my wish for many others, to have their own experience of complete fulfillment. You know, this doesn't mean that there are no rocky roads ahead or that everything is some unrealistic version of perfect. There's constant inner work to do. You know, for me, that independent woman, she hasn't gone anywhere. She's still right here. And when I'm not cognizant and mindful, she, the independent one, can take over and act in ways that are not conducive to being in a relationship. And sometimes this happens, and life isn't so pretty in those moments, and there are some, real cleanup to do. So, this is why I'm here. I'm committed to more and more women having this kind of discovery for themselves. And that's why I've developed new programs for women, and why I'm here with you on this webinar. I feel just an absolute kinship with you, with women in the world. You are powerful in your own right, yet you've struggled in relationships. I feel connected to you, a woman who is spiritually inclined. You have a sense, like a deep knowing, that there's something bigger than you and something greater to accomplish in life for yourself, for your family, your community, and perhaps even the world at large. And that sometimes and somehow these struggles are life lessons on this much bigger path that brings you to fulfill your purpose here in life. So I invite you to have today be the day that your future begins. Today, have today go down in history as the day you turned a corner and opened up a brand new possibility for your life. Okay, are you ready for that? Excellent. So I promised you that we would, you'd have 3 secrets shared with you that I've discovered. So let's jump right in and share those 3 secrets that will lead you toward true love after divorce. So here we go. So the first secret, truly closing the door on the past. I mean, stop questioning yourself, the guilt, blame, shame, not feeling secure with yourself. It's time to close the door completely on the past. And you might be someone who is in the process of divorcing. You might be just recently divorced, or maybe you've been separated and or divorced for a long time now. And I'm saying you need to make sure that you've truly closed the door on the past. You cannot move forward when something is pulling you backwards. You imagine a super suction vacuum behind you as you're trying to walk forward. Not easy. But what does it really mean to be free from your past and close that door? Well, you can't erase the past. What's happened has happened, right? So being free from your past doesn't mean erasing anything or pretending it didn't happen. It also doesn't mean just taking a positive view or putting a positive spin on what happened. Being free from your past begins with taking responsibility. What does that mean? Well, I want to share a story about an amazing woman who's a mother, a contributor in society. Oops, I'm not supposed to be on that slide yet. This woman is absolutely amazing, and she was divorced for over 20 years at the time, and in many ways was not free from her past. So during family gatherings, the name of her ex-husband would come up in the context of whatever the conversation was at the moment, and immediately her whole energy changed. Her mouth shifted into a slight frown, her body seemed stiffened, and her eyes a little withdrawn. Then she would say comments like, "That's just how he is. You know, with me, he would do," etc. "And I had no choice in the matter." Or, "I was never allowed to ... Well, anyways, it doesn't matter. That was then, and I moved on now." The mood of the gathering would shift immediately, and some people would go quiet, not knowing what to say or if they should say anything, because they didn't want to seem insensitive. And this story was not a one-off occasion. It was a repeated occurrence with this person. This woman was not free. Her past is very much still dominating her in the present moment. The door is not closed. And it's been over 20 years. So time doesn't necessarily heal all, as they say. So the number one important secret to begin creating and attracting true love in your life is to take responsibility for what happened in the past and stop blaming yourself or others. Taking responsibility, by the way, does not mean saying it was your fault and looking for where you could have or should have done something differently. Now, of course, there are many things you can and should learn from your past, whereby you'll then do things differently in the future. But taking responsibility is not just about that. Taking responsibility is about having a particular mindset where you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I put myself in that relationship. I chose that relationship. I did what I did. He did what he did. What's done is done. And I am now here in this space where I am today. And he and that relationship do not determine who I am, what I am, or what I'm capable of in my life and in my future. See, the pitfall is to hang on to any bit of blame, and I mean any. The tiniest bit of blame will leave you the victim. See, can you be free and a victim at the same time? No, that's like oil and water. They're two very different substances that repel. And there may be things that your ex-spouse did that he really should not have done. And honestly, if I could wave a magic wand and simply make it gone, trust me, I would. But you give yourself no sense of power by positioning yourself as the one who was wronged and living out your life that way. So how do you start to take responsibility? Step number one is to begin to recognize that you are, when you're blaming, you're being a victim. And sometimes it's not easy to see. Sorry, let me say that again. The number one step is to begin to recognize when you are blaming or when you're being a victim. And And it's not easy to always see that. Just like the person I was talking about earlier, this amazing woman I shared about, she didn't realize that she was being that way until it was pointed out and she could see it for herself. You know how it is. You know, you can point something out to someone, but they don't see it for themselves. Or, you know, maybe you've had a situation where someone was trying to point something out to you, but you couldn't see it. So sometimes you need to be in a position where you can actually see it. And the more honest you can be with yourself, the better. And from there, you can begin to have power to choose freedom or victim. So I want to give you an activity to do right now. Take a moment and take an honest look at yourself. If there is one thing you are holding on to that you are blaming either your ex or yourself for, what is it? No matter how big or small that thing is, the more you let go, the more you will have power to move forward with freedom. And I invite you again to use the chat box and put your one thing that you are holding on to, whether it's a blame of yourself or of your ex-partner, ex-spouse, and what is it that you're holding on to? And this will allow you to begin to let it go. So take a moment and go ahead and do that. You could also write your one thing that you're holding on to into the Q&A box instead, and then that goes privately to me. But again, I do encourage you to put it into the chat box where other people can see it, because it could open some insights up for other people as well. Okay, so yeah, so I hear, you know, one of you saying, you know, blame on yourself, really. Yeah, so you're blaming yourself, and maybe you can look at what specifically are you blaming yourself for. You know, there might be something that you think you did or that you should have done, and had you done it, things wouldn't be this way. Or maybe you think that there's something about you, a characteristic, a part of your personality. Maybe you're blaming yourself that way. You know, see if you can get it specific. What's that thing that you're holding on to that you're blaming? So someone's asking about blaming myself versus taking responsibility. Yeah, so you chose to go into that relationship, as you said, even though you were convinced he wasn't right for you. So, you know, there's something that had you make that choice and dishonor the thing that you knew was not right. So there was a part of you that was convinced, but yet you didn't honor that. You honored something else. And you can see blaming yourself really doesn't give you any kind of power. I mean, of course you can blame yourself. You can say, I was an idiot. I shouldn't have done it. How stupid of me. But there's absolutely no power in blaming yourself for that versus, you know what, there was, in that time and space, I had this conviction that he wasn't right for me for whatever reasons. And knowing that, I chose to step into the marriage or into the relationship. And you did that. And that very act of acknowledging that you did what you did is a step of taking responsibility. Okay, so really thank you for asking that question. Thank you for putting yourself out there to ask that question and give me a chance to answer it. And hopefully make a difference for other people. All right, so I hope that everyone has had a chance to write something down that you acknowledge. And again, the more honest you are with yourself, you begin to really open up freedom. Okay, so now we're going to step into secret number 2. And secret number 2 is, just a second, you must begin to love yourself as is. Now, that might be difficult for some of you. It's difficult for any of us, really. But in the end, the true love is not only with my beloved, but it is and begins with myself. Not the self-love that is ego-driven, but self-love that is on a foundation of acceptance and personal responsibility. So what does that mean? It means you're being responsible for your imperfections, and in fact, you love yourself, including those imperfections. Why? Because your imperfections, they're perfect. You are perfect, just the way you are. And it's time for you to love yourself wholly, completely. Stop judging yourself so negatively. You are your own worst critic. It is time for you to love and care for yourself, just as you would want a man to care for you. You are amazing just the way you are. And this is not lip service. This is not airy-fairy cloud in the sky talk here. I'm talking to you personally. You're perfect and amazing exactly the way you are. And no more waiting until one day, someday, to start being treated like someone who's worthy and capable and worth being loved and cared for. The day has come, and it is now, today. I told you at the beginning of this webinar that I invite you to have today, during this webinar, be the beginning of the rest of your life. Well, this is it. Right here and now. I want you to look at yourself straight on and tell yourself, I love you. Tell the woman that you are, the woman who's been in your underwear, working day in and out, helping people so often, that woman who cares so much for other people, who worries daily about how she's going to make it, whether it's make it financially or emotionally or whatever. Tell that woman who is really so beautiful, so deeply wanting all that is possible in life, but often feels like it's just out of reach. I want you to tell that woman, I love you. You know, when I finally got this love for myself, I'm moved right now just being in the presence of this love and actually being present to the moment that I got this for myself. You know, I was ecstatic. It was like, oh my gosh, I just fell in love. I was able to express my full self freely and happily, you know, just by accepting who I am as I am. No, I'm not perfect, and I'm perfect just the way I am, and so are you. And when I am free in my own skin, in love with who I am, just the way I am, I'm not desperate. I'm not needy. There is nothing I need. I am everything I need. And the bonus is the difference loving myself makes in important areas of my life, like my relationship with my kids. They have a living example in front of them. Like the difference it makes on my career and finances. I've been unleashed, able to truly stand for the life I really want. You know, for example, no longer working for an institution, which I was entirely grateful for, but to be my own boss, doing work that is a passionate calling to make a difference for people, doesn't compare. And the greatest gift is to be this me with my beloved husband. When you are that woman walking in your shoes every day confidently, you will vibrate energetically at a whole other frequency. And therefore, what you attract will be a match for that woman. And that is what I call your divine self. You know what I'm talking about. You deserve to connect to that self and stop waiting. Others in your life deserve to connect to that divine you. And there are people yet to meet and experiences yet to discover for you that will only be revealed when you've allowed that you to truly shine. So when you are being your divine self, you can attract another divine self. So I want you to do a small activity. And this is to take a moment, and I want you to acknowledge at least one quality about yourself. One quality about not some quality of how you look, not a physical quality, but a quality of your personality, a quality of some way that you are. Maybe you're someone who's giving. Maybe you're someone who's generous. Maybe you're someone who's thoughtful, considerate. Maybe you're someone who's, dedicated, like a friend could really count on you. Maybe you're someone who's funny, jovial. I want you to acknowledge at least one quality about yourself. And then say to yourself, insert your name, I love X about you, and I don't ever want you to change. Now, I also invite you to acknowledge one quality about yourself that maybe isn't so great per se. Maybe it's a quirky quality of yours. You know, maybe it's that you're hypercritical. And, you know, it's sometimes that being critical can be negative and get in the way of things, but yet there's that aspect of you being critical that you really think things through before you just open your mouth and say something, or before you do something. So think of a quality about yourself that may not be readily and obviously a nice quality, but it's a quality about you. Okay, so I'm going to give you a moment to go ahead and write that down. And again, please use the chat box as a place to write down what you're seeing for yourself, what you're acknowledging yourself for. And if you have a question, please feel free to put it into the Q&A box. Or if you want to write something personally to me in the Q&A box. Okay, so I hope that's given you enough time to write down and acknowledge yourself for at least one quality. Okay, so now let's just do a quick review. So secret number 1, truly close the door behind you. Freedom from the past. No more blaming, no shame on you or your former spouse, no more feelings of guilt or doubt. You are 100% responsible for yourself and your life, and you get to say how you'll be in life from here forward. No more victim. And secret number 2, love yourself as you are. You are the way you are. And quite frankly, you're not the way you're not. So comparing yourself to some image in your mind of an ideal picture of how you think you should be, and then being hard on yourself for not being that, is just not being in reality. You are the way that you are. And to not accept that is Well, I'm going to use the word, it's crazy, because that's who you are. And I invite you to love that you, accept that you fully as you are right now. All right, let's move on to secret number 3. Clarity of your core values and being willing to stand for them. So for you to really have an opening to attract and create deep and meaningful love in your life, it is critical to get clear about your core values and be willing to stand for them, be willing to live true to them. So the third secret that I discovered is the importance of being clear about these values and to actually be willing to stand for them and not be swayed no matter what comes up. So what is a value? A value is something that has worth or worthiness, and its worth is relative to other things. Some things are worth more than others, like money, for example. Currency has relative value compared to other currencies, and it has value based on what it can buy you. So this is value at a, you could call it a surface level. This is what a value is. But now we're going to take it a step further, and I'm making a distinction between value and a personal core value. So you might have values like punctuality, where you will organize yourself and your schedule in such a way to ensure that you're on time, because that's important to you. And on occasion, things come up, emergencies or unexpected things come up, and you may end up being late. But because it's a value of yours, you'll call ahead to notify others of your tardiness. So this is something that you value. It's important, and if not kept 100%, it's not the end of the world per se. A personal core value has most of the same qualities as a value, except this. Your personal core values are those ways of being in life that define who you are, such that when you are not being true to those core values, you're actually not being yourself. These values have deep meaning. You may know what some of your core values are, but truth is often we don't have them fully defined. This is something that I work on with my clients. These are values that have such worth that they are literally worth your life. In other words, these values are worth living for. So is that distinction clear? Well, it is your personal core values that we're talking about here. So the second secret to moving toward having true love in your life is getting clear about and living true to your core values. Why? Well, think about it. Think back to your previous relations that didn't work. You may see that the person you were with has some good and even great qualities. I mean, really, why would you have gotten together with them in the first place? But if you take a look and take some time to look, you may see that there are deep fundamental values that are not aligned. It doesn't make either one's values wrong. It's just simply not a match. And this is one that is important to take time on. This is a super important discovery to really see for yourself what are, for you personally, your core personal values and that you're willing to stand for. See, after my first divorce, I realized that there was a very deep and core value that I was not living true to. And that value was spirituality. And specifically for me, that meant living a Jewish life. So when I got engaged to my first husband, who isn't Jewish, I believed that our love was deep and true enough that having differences in religious and spiritual beliefs would be settled through our love. And while we really did love each other very much, and we made two amazing, beautiful boys together, and we're really great parents, these specific differences could never be resolved. And deep down, I knew how important living in accordance with Judaism was. But yet, I was living my life in another way, doing things that are not Jewish while feeling something isn't right. And I'm thinking back to the question that one of you posed in the Q&A box. I had these feelings that something isn't right, but yet I kept on doing it. I told myself stories to justify continuing doing things this way. And then again, in my second marriage, I picked someone not Jewish. However, he was open-minded and willing to support and participate in many Jewish practices. And I allowed that to be okay. He seemed a little closer to my core values, but wasn't. So I like this picture. The shoe really didn't fit, and there was no mistaking. But why did I do this? When a value is a personal core value, it's one worth living for. So what was stopping me from living true to this core value? What I discovered was a deep, hidden, negative belief about myself and about relationships. And the belief was, here's my hidden negative belief. See, I discovered. And the belief was, it's not possible for me to truly have everything that's possible and that I really want. This was a hidden, deeply hidden negative belief that I had about myself and about relationships. So therefore, I would settle for what's in front of me. And besides the pain on me of not living in accordance with my personal core values, there was an effect on the partner I was with. If you think about it, he was never going to be the one. He was always going to be someone that isn't the one, but he'll do, which is not a very nice thing for the other person. See, with the discovery of this core value, plus the negative hidden belief that I had, it was like a door opened up. And I could see things I wasn't able to see before. That's how transformation works. Suddenly I had this new clarity, and immediately I could make new decisions. It became simple from this core value. Like, for example, I was on various dating sites for about 2 years. I changed my profile several times. I changed the target of who I was looking for. I was all over the place with no focus, or I was doing nothing at all. And after being clear about this core value and my willingness to live for that, I put myself on one dating site, a Jewish dating site. I updated my profile quickly and with a sense of certainty. And I'm not kidding. 3 days later, I received a message from my future husband. So often, people think they know what their core values are. But unless you've really done the work to discover them, you're likely working with values that are more surface level values. And that's why you might often feel like you're never really fully yourself, or that the choices you make don't completely resonate with who you are or who you want to be. Or you might feel like the things you're doing in life, whether it's the men you're picking or the types of jobs you work or how you communicate with people in your life, that the way you're doing things is not how you really want them to be and how you want to be doing them. And this is frustrating, to say the least, and is often reason for feeling somewhat empty inside. Unless you do the work to truly identify your core values, it's predictable that this rat race and these feelings of emptiness will continue. I've given you a starting point to work on this in tonight's webinar, but the real prize takes more time to get to. And, this is actually something that we work on in my upcoming program that I'll tell you about a little bit later. We address this very thing in my upcoming program. You've got a chance to get connected to that deep core and once and for all, discover your core values. And once you do this, this will be your navigating tool. It's like a guide. It'll guide you to be true to yourself, guiding you to make choices that reflect what is actually important to you, and guiding you to stay away from the things that in the end are more harmful than good. I want to share a story with you about a client, and I'm going to call her Molly. She's someone who discovered an important core value and was willing to be true to it. So Molly came to me. She is a beautiful woman, divorced, didn't have children, and met someone new with whom she fell in love with. And after nearly a year, she ended that relationship, was distraught, and that's when she called me. And we began to work together. And early on, she became clear that one of her core personal values is family. And it is worth everything for her, and nothing was worth getting in the way. So while working together, this man who she'd ended the relationship with actually came back into her life wanting to rekindle relations. This time, among other work that we did together, she was upfront and clear with him about the kind of life she was committed to living, including having a family. And she shared her vision with him openly. She was willing to not have this relationship with him, even though she really wanted to be with him. She knew if she was going to have a life given by those values, she needed to live true to those values now, not later, not someday. So she started to make decisions from that value. And it was just obvious. It wasn't like she even needed to think about it. It was just obvious. She went with him to his family events where before he didn't even invite her. She organized a gathering for his birthday and included his family. And all the while, she was willing to forego this relationship if family was not going to be a core aspect of their life together. And it was amazing. Within less than 2 months, their whole relationship shifted. And he became not only in love with her, but in love with the life of family with her. And they got engaged, and they're now expecting a child together. And both of them feel like this is everything they've ever wanted. And I love this story. And it's just one story where someone did the work to discover and live true to her core values. So I invite you to, use what you've gotten tonight to begin to discover your core values. And I invite you to take your next step to discover your core values and develop the confidence and the know-how to live your life in accordance with those core values. And this is one of the major things that we'll do in my upcoming program. And I told you that I would tell you about it tonight and show you how you can actually get a spot in that program. So I'm going to do that now. So I'm so excited about this program. It's something that, as I mentioned earlier tonight, that after doing a lot of work with individuals and couples and families, I really discovered that I love working with women. So I just want to be upfront about that. And I had my own personal experiences, as I've shared, and I want so much for women to know who they are. I want you to know who you are. I want you to really have the confidence to be in life just fully engaged, connected to yourself, loving yourself, and clear about those core values, and just living a fantastic life now and not waiting for something out there to change before you can finally have the life you really want. And so for the first time, I've put together a group coaching program that is uniquely for women who are divorcing or divorced. And this program is designed to empower divorcing and divorced women to live life fully now and create an extraordinary future. And the program is accessible from any phone or computer, just like we're doing tonight. And there's also a limited number of spots so that everyone gets attention from me. So I'm very excited about this program. It's a 4-week program, and each session I will introduce core principles that are signature principles of my coaching practice. And I will train you to incorporate these principles into your life, specifically to deal with the challenges that you face regarding creating an extraordinary future post-divorce. And we're approaching the holiday time, which I know can be difficult for many people, especially in a post-divorce period. So there may be specific areas of life that are particularly challenging at this time for you. For example, many women have expressed to me that one of their key challenges is finances. Others have expressed their number one challenge is dealing powerfully and peacefully with their ex-spouse. Others have said that their number one challenge is finding new love since they've divorced. And for others, their number one challenge is to take action on an idea that they've had, like starting a business or asking for a raise or getting into shape and being healthy. So in this 4-week program, you get to address whichever challenge is most pertinent to you. And by doing so, you will transform that area using my core principles, and those changes will spill over and positively affect other areas that are important to you. So you get to have this transformation before the year is out. And that's why I call this program, Your Holidays Can Still Be Great After Divorce. How to have real peace and joy and end the year right and start the new year on a brand new foundation. So here is a snapshot of the website where you can actually see the program. So if you could, on your computer, just go ahead and go to peacefuldivorcecoach.com, peacefuldivorcecoach.com/holiday joy. And in fact, I'm going to go to that page myself. Right here. Okay, so you should be able to see this now. I'm on the site. So so this is the website for the program, and what I invite you to do is just scroll down. Most of what's here are things that we've kind of talked a lot about over this webinar, and you're welcome to read any of it, of course. But if you just scroll down here, I want to share with you some aspects of the program. So first of all, one of the most powerful things about working in a group coaching program is that you identify hidden blocks faster, and therefore you're able to deal with them quicker. And that's because as you listen to someone else being coached, you're more easily able to see hidden aspects of yourself, which causes incredible insights that you otherwise wouldn't have. So it's always easier to see solutions for others than it is for yourself. Just think about it in your own personal life. And in a group coaching environment, others are like a mirror showing you what you need to see so that you can address it effectively and immediately. And plus, being in a group, there's a sense of community and support that contributes to the transformation process and the speed. I don't know if I've told you, but I'm so excited about this program. I can't wait for it to get started. I'm giving a lot of value in this program. So if you look here, you'll see that when you register for this program, first of all, you get my coaching, which is 90 minutes a week for 4 weeks. And that alone is worth about $1,200. Plus, when you register, I will immediately send you an audio program, Keep the Love and Leave the Marriage. It's a recording of me with master coach and best-selling author Karen Brody, and it's awesome. Plus, you'll also immediately get an audio program called Divorce to Divine, Creating Acceptance. And that's an audio program with me and relationship guru Sheila Paxton, who's also the founder of Fit for Love Coaching, and she is just amazing to be with. And each of those programs are worth $97. So that's over $1,400 worth of value right there. But I'm not charging that full amount. Instead, I'm offering all of this for $397 for a limited time. This is going to be available until the 18th of November. That's an early registration. Sorry, no, I take that back. So $397 is for a limited time, but I wanted to let you know that I'm offering an early registration fee where I'm going to charge you not even that $397, but I will invite you to invest $297. And to get this early registration price, which you can, as you see, it's not written on my website, so I'm giving that to you here on the webinar. I'm going to give you a code that when you register, you simply put this code in at the registration in the coupon code area. And the code is HAPPY. That's capital HAPPY, HAPPY. So you get this $1,400 worth of value. It's not for $397, but for $297. That's an early registration investment that I'm offering, and I'll keep that low price open with the code HAPPY until the 18th. And there's more. Okay, so to add even more incentive, I'm also going to offer a fast action reward, meaning when you act fast, if this is something that you want to do, okay, maybe some of you are thinking this is not for me, maybe you've got questions, no problem. But if you're someone who you know that there is value here and you can see that when you do the work to really uncover what's in the way of your attracting and fulfilling meaningful and deep love in your life, if you can see that this is something for you, which it absolutely will be if you're in the program, I am offering that when you register tonight during this webinar, you'll also receive a gift from me, which is a 45-minute one-on-one coaching session, which is usually $350. So this is close to $2,000 worth of value, and you get to have all of this for $297. Now you get to have for $297 everything except for the 45-minute one-on-one consultation coaching session with me. You get to have that up until the 18th. Register tonight. Again, I want to reward fast action. Sometimes when we think about things too much, we stop ourselves from having the things that we really want, and you sometimes convince yourself that, oh, I shouldn't, maybe I don't deserve this, or maybe I can do this on my own. And I'm inviting you to give this to yourself, and I'm partnering with you by saying, let's do this together, jump in tonight, and the investment is $297. So you get 4-week group coaching, 2 audio programs, register tonight and get the one-on-one private session with me. So that's about $2,000 worth of value for $297. And there's a limited number of spots, as I really am committed to giving attention to everyone participating. And there are already people registered in this program, which I'm so excited about. So, you know, you might want to jump on this quick if this is something that you see that you want to do. And if you're wondering why I'm offering you this at such a low investment, well, there's 2 reasons. One is I really, really am excited about making this difference for women. And I don't know if you've ever had that feeling of wanting so badly for someone to give them, to have them see something and have something that you feel that they really should have, that you just want to do anything you can to make it possible for them. So it's completely up to you. There's only so much I can do, but this is as much as I'm able to do. And the rest is up to you. And the second thing is I actually want something in return. As this will be the first time I'm offering this program, I'm asking for your valuable feedback and input. And this is going to help me to develop the program further. And in the future, the cost of this program will likely be higher. So again, To register now, the code is HAPPY, that's capital HAPPY. So when you're registering, at the time of the checkout, you'll see a place for coupon. And in fact, I'm gonna just go here, register now, so you can see what it looks like. And you just enter your name and your email, as this is the first step in the checkout. And I don't see my cursor. Oh, there it is. So if I was to register myself like this, there we go. And then check out. And then here, you see, so there's the group program for women, $397. Coupon code right here. So you put capital HAPPY, and you put apply. And as you see here, you've got $100 removed. And then you continue with your checkout. And that's the way that works. So I am inviting you to jump on in. I'm so excited about this program. I really can't wait for it to start. You see all the details there. And, you know, I invite you to really give yourself the gift and make the rest of this year and the beginning of next year absolutely extraordinary for you. So now I wanted to also give those of you who are here to the very end, as I promised, I want to give you a gift. And so those of you who are still here, you are going to get a gift from me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be sending you an email with a gift in that email. And the gift is my values chart. And this is a list of over 400 values. In other words, a list of values that you can look at, speculate, and play with, and use this as a tool to start to speculate on what some of your values are. So I wanted to give you that as a gift from me. And oh, someone is asking, sorry, there's a question in the Q&A box. Is the investment US or Canadian? It's US. The people who are on this webinar from around the world. So we've done it in US dollars. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your question. Okay. All right, and so I just want to take a moment and say a deep and warm thank you. I acknowledge you. I thank you for being here. I acknowledge you for taking the time to be here, to stay until the end, and to really take your first step just by being on this webinar. You've taken your first step to creating and attracting love into your life. And so I just really want to acknowledge you for that. And again, just one last invitation here to jump on in tonight. And I'd love to meet with you personally one-on-one as you grab that offer. And you know, I love speaking with you individually. I love getting to know you and doing work with you. And in the group program, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be deep. It's going to be community and sharing. And I'm excited about it. And so I really do invite you, in closing, I just really do invite you to take everything you've gotten from this webinar. And whether you're jumping into my upcoming program or not, I invite you to take everything you've got in this webinar and really start to implement it immediately. And have today be the beginning of the rest of your life. You owe it to yourself, and you owe it to the people who love you. So I want to bid you a good night. And I want to say that I'm really looking forward to our paths crossing again. And those of you who've registered, I just want to acknowledge you for registering. Yay! I acknowledge those of you for registering. And I'm looking forward to being with you on the other side. And to everyone, just I really do love you from the bottom of my heart. All right. Have a great night.